What's up, guys? This is new Reddit story.
Hey Reddit, this might sound ridiculous to some of you, but hear me out. I'm 25, and I've spent most of my life struggling with something that I think a lot of people overlook: folding a fitted sheet. Yeah, you heard me right. I couldn't figure out how to fold one of the most basic household items, and it haunted me for years. So, I thought I'd share my journey in case anyone else has been secretly avoiding this task, too. It all started back when I first moved into my apartment. I was 19, fresh out of high school, and living on my own for the first time. I was excited, but at the same time, I realized that I had no clue how to manage a lot of the responsibilities that came with living independently. I could cook ramen, sure, but when it came to basic life skills, I was barely scraping by. Laundry, for example. How hard could it be? Throw clothes in the washer, transfer them to the dryer, and boom. Done, right? For the most part, it worked. But then came folding. Oh, folding. I thought I had it all figured out. T-shirts? Easy. Towels? Simple. But fitted sheets? Nope. I was lost. I remember the first time I tried folding a fitted sheet. I had just finished washing my bedding, and there it was, this big, crinkled mess of fabric with elastic edges that seemed to have a mind of its own. I tried folding it like a regular sheet, just folding it in half, then in half again, and maybe one more time. But the thing just looked ridiculous. It was lumpy, uneven, and nothing like what I'd seen in those perfect linen closets on TV shows. I figured maybe I was just overthinking it, so I shoved it into a drawer and moved on. But the problem didn't go away. Every time I did laundry, I would encounter the same issue. The fitted sheet would sit in the corner of the laundry room, mocking me, refusing to behave like any other piece of fabric. Eventually, I just gave up. I left the fitted sheets in a pile, crammed in a drawer, or, on a particularly bad day, just stuffed it in the laundry basket to deal with later. But later never came. Fast forward a few years. I'm now living with a roommate, Jessica. Jessica is organized. Everything has its place, and she's got one of those perfectly arranged linen closets that you see in commercials. She folded her sheets like a pro, even the fitted ones. Meanwhile, I was still cramming mine into a drawer with no rhyme or reason. One night, Jessica asked me if I wanted help folding my laundry, and I felt a little embarrassed. I thought, she's probably judging me. But I said, sure, if you don't mind. She smiled and started folding my regular sheets, and then she grabbed the fitted sheet. I braced myself for the inevitable, but then something amazing happened. She made it look effortless. She started by holding the sheet by the corners and matching up the edges with the elastic. Then, she tucked one corner into the other and, with a few quick adjustments, folded the entire sheet neatly in just a few minutes. It looked perfect, like something you'd see at a fancy hotel. I was stunned. How did she do that? Why didn't I know this was a thing? Was this something they taught in home economics? Or was it some kind of ancient, secret folding technique passed down through generations? I had to know. Jessica, noticing my shock, just laughed and said, "You didn't know how to do that? You're not the only one. I used to suck at it too, but I watched a few YouTube videos, and now it's second nature." She handed me the folded sheet, and I felt a sense of accomplishment wash over me. It was just a sheet, but somehow it felt like I had unlocked a new level in life. After that, I went home and immediately looked up some folding techniques on YouTube. There were all kinds of tutorials, each one more detailed than the last. Some of them even had catchy titles like How to Fold a Fitted Sheet in 30 Seconds and The Hotel Fold. It was like I had stumbled upon a whole new world of adulting I had never realized existed. I practiced and practiced until I could fold fitted sheets like a pro. It wasn't just about folding the sheets properly. It was about the sense of control and organization it gave me. It was a small victory in a world where it often felt like everything was out of my hands. Every time I folded a fitted sheet, it felt like I was mastering a tiny part of adulthood. Here's the thing. I know this sounds like a simple, maybe even silly, thing to struggle with, but I genuinely think a lot of people don't realize how many little life skills we aren't taught. Sure, we learn how to cook or how to balance a checkbook, if we're lucky, but no one really tells you how to fold a fitted sheet or iron a shirt correctly. These little things pile up, and it can be overwhelming when you're just trying to figure it all out on your own. So, if you're out there struggling with something as simple as folding a fitted sheet, just know you're not alone. It's okay to not have it all figured out, and it's okay to ask for help. I promise you, you're not the only one who's had to Google how to fold a fitted sheet at 2 a.m. And if you're still wondering, here's the trick I learned. Grab the sheet by two corners with the elastic facing inward. Fold one corner into the other, making sure the edges align. Repeat with the other two corners. Lay it flat, fold the edges in, and then fold the whole sheet into a neat square. It's that simple. Who knew? Anyway, Reddit, thanks for reading my rant about something that seems trivial but honestly changed my life. I'm no longer afraid of doing laundry, and my linen closet has never looked better. Maybe next I'll tackle the mysteries of ironing. Anyone else have a life skill that you felt like you were the only one struggling with? Let me know in the comments. Maybe we can all learn something together. Cheers. Hey Reddit, I'm about to admit something that's going to make me sound like a total disaster. But here goes. I didn't know how to properly make a bed until I was 26. Yes, 26. I mean, I could throw the blanket on top, fluff the pillows, and call it a day, but I never really knew how to make a bed the way people talk about it. You know, like the way you see in the Instagram photos, or when you stay at a hotel and everything is crisp, perfect, and seems effortless. Yeah, I never knew how to do that. So here's the story. It all started when I moved into my first apartment. I had been living with roommates for years, and honestly, I had never really been that concerned with how the bed looked. I figured it was just a place to sleep, not something that needed to be made in any real way. I would throw the sheets on, toss a blanket on top, and pile my pillows at the head of the bed. Done. It worked for me, and I was happy with it. Who cares if it didn't look perfect? I sure didn't. Then, one day, my friend Sarah came over. She was one of those people whose life seemed to be together, always on time, always organized, and her home looked like it belonged in a magazine. We were just hanging out, and at one point, she excused herself to use the bathroom. When she came back, she looked around my bedroom and paused. She said, "Oh, you didn't make your bed today?" Now, I'll admit, my first thought was, who cares? It's just a bed. But she didn't mean it in a judgmental way. She was genuinely curious. I said something like, "Yeah, I just threw the sheets on and called it a day. Why? Does it really matter?" She smiled, like she was holding back a secret. Making your bed properly is actually a really important habit. It sets the tone for the rest of your day. It's like a small win every morning, and it makes your whole room look cleaner. Really? I asked, skeptical. It's that big of a deal? Oh, trust me, she said. It changes everything. Let me show you. I was half amused, half embarrassed, but I let her take the lead. She started by pulling the blanket off the bed and stripping the pillows away. I was about to ask her what she was doing, but she just smiled and said, "Trust me." First, she straightened the fitted sheet. It wasn't just about putting it on. It was about tucking the corners neatly, smoothing out every wrinkle so it looked perfect. Next came the flat sheet, which she spread evenly, making sure the edges lined up with the corners of the bed. Then, she folded the top edge of the flat sheet down just so, like they do in hotels, so it created a crisp, folded line. I was stunned. Who knew this was a thing? It was like she had transformed my bed into something from a catalog. The bed looked neat, polished, and somehow elevated. It didn't take long, probably 5 minutes, tops, but it looked like it belonged in a completely different space. A space where adulting was happening. "You see," she said, stepping back to admire her work. "Doesn't it feel different?" And it did. For the first time, I realized that my bedroom didn't just feel like a place where I slept. It felt like a place where I could sleep. There was a calm, almost therapeutic feeling that came with having a perfectly made bed. The room felt bigger, more organized, and just better. So here I was, 26 years old, learning that the simple act of making your bed could actually have a profound impact on your day. After Sarah left, I went to bed, and as I pulled the covers back, I felt a sense of satisfaction. I had made the bed. It wasn't just thrown together. It was neat, structured, and inviting. The next morning, I woke up, and it was like I had unlocked some hidden superpower. It was the simplest task, but I felt so productive. I made the bed in under 5 minutes, no sweat, and suddenly, my day felt a little more put together. I even started doing it first thing in the morning, without fail. I realized that the simple act of making your bed sets a tone for the day that you don't even think about until you experience it. It's like taking control over a small part of your life, which then makes the bigger challenges feel more manageable. Here's the kicker. Once I started making my bed, I noticed something else. I felt more motivated to clean up other parts of my apartment. The kitchen, the bathroom. Suddenly, I was tidying up in ways I had never bothered to before. The bed wasn't just a bed anymore. It became a symbol for my ability to take charge of my environment. Small things, like folding the towel neatly after a shower or washing the dishes immediately after eating, started adding up, and suddenly, my living space was, well, livable. I'm not saying that making your bed will solve all your problems or that it will suddenly make you the most organized person in the world. But I am saying it's a simple thing that a lot of people might overlook. And once you get into the habit, it can lead to a sense of accomplishment that spills over into other parts of your life. So, Reddit, I'm curious, how many of you are in the I never make my bed camp, and how many of you swear by it? I used to think it was a useless chore, but now it's become a habit that genuinely makes me feel more put together. It's funny how the simplest things can sometimes make the biggest difference. Thanks for reading my confession. Let me know if you also struggled with this small life skill, or if there's something else you wish someone had taught you along the way. I'm sure there are more of us out there than I thought.